Good morning, everyone. It's our 69th Coffee with the Commissioner. It's Wednesday morning, 6:30 on the dot. We're actually on time today with no technological snafus. So thanks to Debbie, my producer, for getting us all sorted out. And I'm glad that everyone's here with me this morning. So first and foremost, thank you, gentlemen, for getting up early. We have Wes Marino, our acting administrator here this morning. We've got Eric Gilmore. He's the director of public safety for Escambia County. And then we have this morning, a special guest, Todd Thompson. He's the president and CEO of the Greater Pensacola Chamber of Commerce. So we're really happy to have him here. I got a lot of great questions for him. But as we typically do on these coffees, we like to start out and give our administrator time to give us an update. We've got a meeting tomorrow. There's a lot going on. So without further ado, Wes, I'll flip it to you and for an update.
Sure. Good morning. So we got a lot of good things going on in Escambia County. Things I'm really excited about. As you know, our procurement department or division has been struggling as of since probably fall. But starting next Monday, Mr. Jeffrey Lovingood is going to be starting back with us. And 2 weeks or a week from Monday, we'll have our Mr. Robert McCallum coming to us from Texas. Brings 20 years of corporate procurement experience. And so we're looking forward to having those two guys come into the office. We have Buzz Broggenbeck still down there churning away. But we have some young folks there in the procurement office, and they're learning and they're doing solicitations, they're putting out purchase orders. And so within the next couple of weeks, we're going to have like 10 people in our procurement division as opposed to 3. So I'm extremely excited about that. So we want to start driving projects out. We'll have some Saturday work sessions. As you know, a lot of the success of the board depends on how well we drive projects out of procurement and out of engineering, and we're going to be successful, and we're going to do just that. And also in our budget office, Mr. Stephen Hall is with us, and we've restructured a little bit there, and we're going to have a full budget staff just within a matter of weeks, and we're going to be rocking and rolling there in the budget department. Working with corrections, we got some upcoming modifications with an MOU that we hope is going to drive salaries up, the entry-level salary to a level that will make us competitive. And, one thing that folks don't think about, especially with jobs like corrections, is, there's so many benefits. You have your high-risk retirement. And one benefit, especially for younger folks that people don't think about, is we have tuition reimbursement. So if you're one of these high school graduates and maybe you didn't get that college scholarship or you're not sure where you're headed, if you come to work with us, it's like a working scholarship. We will pay you to get your degree. That is huge. I mean, that is a huge benefit, not only for a young person, but for anybody. But, we don't tout that enough, I don't think. So that is a huge benefit. And then you're going to see a media campaign coming for recruitment. We're going to run some ads, some commercials on Channel 3 during some primetime hours. And David Heroux and his staff are just really knocking it out of the park. They're doing a great job. And so there's a lot of good things going on. We got some big projects coming through on the beach. That's exciting to see finally coming to fruition. We're going to repaint the beach ball water tower.
Yeah, that's important.
Project tomorrow. And so that's a big deal. And so there's just a lot of good things going on that I'm excited about. And we're just going to keep driving forward and bring good things to fruition. That's what we do. That's what we're going to keep doing.
No, thank you, Wes, for that. And thank you for pointing that out. We all saw that we had one of our employees from corrections come to the meeting, and he pointed out some issues. And one thing I'll say, I like the idea that a person who works for us could come and do that and not face retribution. And I really commend that young man for coming forward. He had sent me some correspondence on Facebook asking when the meeting was, and I let him know. And to my surprise, he did come. And anyway, I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's important. I think it's healthy, and it's a tough job. But like you said, I don't think you can say it enough. If you start a career like that, when you're in your late teens, early 20s, you do 30 years. 30 years sounds like a long time when you're 18, but as I know, because I'm there, you get 50 quicker than you know it. And wouldn't it be nice to have a nearly 100% retirement? Actually, it is 100. It would be close to 100% retirement at age 50.
They don't have to work 25.
25. Okay. Well, they do 25 and then they do 5 years of drop. And then they have, there's just so many benefits to it. And I also like to point out, in addition to the tuition reimbursement, which is huge, I mean, we've got a Blue Cross family medical plan that's unbelievably competitive. It's $139 every 2 weeks for a family medical. Other people that I know firsthand are paying $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 a month for that benefit. So there's a lot of good reasons to come to work. I know these jobs are, whether you're talking about corrections, whether you're talking about fire or any of these issues, but if you have the drive for public service, I can't encourage people enough. Come to work for Escambia County. We have a lot of openings.
Absolutely.
So appreciate that. I'm looking forward to the marketing campaign, and that's good stuff. And with that, did you have anything else for us, Wes? Or I'll flip it to you.
I'll jump in if I need to, but that was one of my main high points this morning.
Right on. Well, thanks again for being here this morning. And Eric, so we got your report this past week in public safety. Thanks for putting that out. We certainly appreciate that. And what kind of updates do you have for us this week?
Well, like Wes said, we got a lot of good things going on, but I'll hit COVID first because we're still in the realm of COVID.
Yep.
As of yesterday, we had 138 people in the hospital. So the number has gone down. I think we saw a little over 250 at the peak. It's not going as fast as we had hoped it would with Omicron, but nonetheless, it has gone down. It'll kind of peak, level out for a little bit, then drop a little bit, level out and go down. But it is winding down. So that is the good news. The hospitals, we've been meeting with them weekly. Great partnership with the hospitals. I can't speak enough about Community Health Northwest Florida, the hospitals, Department of Health. I mean, we get on every week and we discuss any emerging threats, any issues you're having at facilities, and the facilities and the CEOs have been phenomenal. So I really do appreciate the partnership we have with those people in this county. It really makes a difference. When I get on the state call and I hear other counties and what they're doing and the struggles they're having just communicating and coordinating with their facilities, I'm like, wow, that's not us. So we're really blessed to have those guys. So going to fires, though, I mean, we're burning, we had 5 structure fires last week. We had one yesterday morning, and a lot of them are due to heating sources. And I know we've had a rash of cold weather and everything, and I'd remind everybody, please be vigilant with your heating sources. We do have a great fire system. The guys get there as quick as they can, but we can't save them all. Some of them are time, distance, and travel. But yesterday, unfortunately, it was a time, distance, travel thing. And it was, fire doubles in size every minute that it's not changed. So, and unfortunately, it was a total loss of the structure. He did get some valuables that he wanted. It was saved, thank goodness, that were irreplaceable. And I'm glad, he did get his valuables saved that he was really worried about. But folks, please, take those heating sources. Don't leave the room with a heating source going. Make sure you've got plenty of space around it. Just my little PSA for the rash of fires we've been having here lately. So please, guys, be vigilant out there. Mercy Management has got on the board tomorrow. We're asking for 2 more weather stems that we're working with the state for. We're open to put weather stems everywhere. And these weather stems are open to the public. The public can go to weatherstem.com. Search for Escambia County, and then we're trying to blanket the county so you can see what your weather is real time all around the county. And we're going to put 2 more weather stems in. One's going at Perdita Key, and one's going to go to Molina. We did the Beulah one last time. It's at the Beulah Fire Station. And you can get on those things, look at the historical events. You can live stream the video. So trying to get some more weather stems into the county, and it's a great partnership with the state that allows us to do that. So also on the last week, you guys approved the grant it's tomorrow, the grant for EMS. Chief Dorsell, once again, going after money with the state. He's getting good at it. So we're looking at buying ventilators, stair chairs, suctions, suction equipment, things that we need for the ambulances that are high dollar equipment. So we're trying to get a matching grant with the state of Florida. We think we're going to be successful in that. And then we will bring more equipment in and upgrade our equipment is what we really need to do and add to the ambulances that we have now. So looking forward to you guys approving that tomorrow so we can go for the grant. So you guys did approve, the commission did approve the SAFER grant for us. And
yes.
For the SAFER grant, thank you. We're looking at around 40 firefighters. We'll know something October, November timeframe. That'll help us out tremendously with manpower. It'll give us 3 years where we're not 100% on the hook for the total bill to manpower. As we're talking about trying to recruit, retain, and get people on board, we've got several options we're going to look at. We're even looking at probably doing an in-house academy. We have had a lot of people apply for the cadet program. So we might do our own homegrown firefighter program. I think that's going to be the best route, to be honest with you, to get people on board and then do our own training and get them in our system. And I think that's going to be our best bet versus just advertising. It's open, people apply for it. Now we are a little bit more competitive. We did have some people come to us with their standards since we've increased the fire pay. That's been great, but just not in the numbers that we're going to need in the future. But we've got a plan for that. So hopefully we can get that on board. And I appreciate the board approving the Safer Grant. Thank you guys very much. We'll see what we get. We're hoping October, November to hear something. So we'll stay tuned for that. Lifeguards, Dave reminded me yesterday, they're going to be at the beach next month. They're going to be starting staffing the beach. That means springtime, so spring break, springtime around the corner. That's a good, I'm ready to hit spring a little bit, warm up, and get a little warming trend. Warming trend. And the last thing I want to say is tomorrow we're looking at some inclement weather. We got a cold front coming in. We'll start seeing rain around noon tomorrow in our area and throughout Thursday afternoon into Thursday night. So potential for straight line winds, an isolated heavy sail here or there. So just everybody just be aware, weather aware tomorrow and stay vigilant. It's our typical weather pattern, winter weather pattern where we might have the tornadoes usually are around this time is when we get them. But they're anticipating the majority of the severe weather to the north and the west of us. But everybody just, it can always pop up. Be weather aware. And, Wes always ends on a positive. I want to too. I am blessed to have the staff here I do at Public Safety. We have a great group of men and women that go out there and run the community, run emergency calls and help the community day in and day out. And that's one reason we're successful. And to the board, I appreciate the relationship we have with you guys. We've come leaps and bounds with the relationship and everything that, with you guys helping us out. And, Wes as well. Wes has been phenomenal and champion for us. And I appreciate that working relationship. It my job a lot easier. I hate to say that, but it does. But, those relationships do that. And I appreciate you guys. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Eric. And thanks for getting up always to do these coffees. But I think people, especially through the COVID pandemic and through some other challenges that we've had in public safety, I think they appreciate seeing your face and hearing directly from the director of that department. And I know that you guys, you and David Purcell and Chief Catrambone have implemented a lot of changes. And, I was going to ask you, one of the things that we had talked about was trying to find a different way to fund what you're doing. Safer Grant, that would bring in the 40 firefighters. So just so, everyone knows though, tell us how it goes. It's 100% funded the first year. And then does it gradually decline? And then we have to pick up the fund? This
one's a 3-year. Usually sometimes it's a 5-year. This one's a 3-year. So the first 2 years, the federal government gives us funds for 75% of the salaries. So 25 the first 2 years. And then we're on the hook for 65 the last year. And then we go 100%. It is now ours. We have to, get the funding source 100% to fund the firefighters. So it's a 3-year cycle that we're going for this year. I don't know why usually it's 5 and they give you 100% the first 2 years and then 25, but this was a 3-year cycle. So,
okay. Well, I hope that we get it. I mean, that would be great, a great shot in the arm, get all those extra firemen out there. And we look forward to that happening. Just a couple of updates before I throw it over to Todd, and appreciate that, Eric, and appreciate you, Wes. A couple of District 1 plugs. We do have a pretty significant event coming up in the next couple of weeks. We'll have the firm date very soon, but we're going to be cutting the ribbon on District 1 and the West Side's most recent public beach access point out at Perdido Key. Obviously, Perdido Key is part of District 1 now after the redistricting. And that's been a project 8 years in the making. We've had that land for a long time. It took a lot of gnashing of teeth and a lot of hard work to get it done, but we did it. We got all the permits. Tim Day gets kudos. He drove it once the board, indicated that we wanted that thing opened up for the public. So that's a big, profound project in District 1 that's going to be happening soon. Another thing that's pretty important to me is the fire station in Beulah. I've been speaking with facilities, and matter of fact, had a call yesterday with the director of facilities about that and several other projects, including the library at Bellevue that we had a few change orders, but that's going to come before the board. And I look forward to really describing the reasons why those change orders happened. And there is an explanation. So I look forward to having that discussion. By the way, that library is coming very, very close to completion. Probably in the next 4 months, we'll be doing the ground, or actually the ribbon cutting for that as well. That's pretty big. That'll be the first library in District 1. And then for the outdoorsmen, the sporting folks, we've got a 39-acre parcel of land on Perdido Bay, South Perdido Bay. And we've got a big project, $5.5 million boat ramp park project. And that's all the permits are in, the funding's in place. So we're, Wes, correct me if I'm wrong, but as of the last meeting, we got the last 2.5 million from rescue plan money to put in the pot. So we're good to go on that project too, aren't we?
We are just about there. We're waiting on one more piece of documentation from U.S. Treasury with Restore, and then we're going to get it in purchasing. We'll get it advertised, and we'll get that thing under construction.
Yeah, and that will be a great amenity. You know, we do a lot with the rescue funds. We're going to do a lot. We've got the broadband for the northern part of the county. Some of that's going to allow us to have the traffic systems operations center over there near our emergency public safety complex. But this sort of project is for the working man. This is the blue collar guy, has a weekend family and wants to take his boat out. And this is a great amenity that the public, that their tax dollars are going to put into something that they can use. And so I look at all the things that we do in the county. We do a lot of things for a lot of people. We do a lot of things for folks who are down on their luck. But this is something we do for the working man. The blue collar guy, wants to take his boat out, take his kids fishing, his family. And I really, really look forward to opening this. This is going to be a big deal. It's going to be if you look at the plans, it's going to be a fantastic amenity for the West Side. So really exciting, lots of good stuff happening. We've got a giant state road project going to go from Blue Angel on Mobile Highway all the way up to Highway 90. They're going to add several traffic signals, some turn lanes. They're going to enhance it. That's going to be a great project. Sorrento Road, coming from the bridge, the Theo Barr Bridge, up to Bower Road. That's another state project that's about to kick off. They're going to repave that. So lots of great things happening on the West Side, lots of great projects. Finally, I'll say to all the folks who attended our town hall, we had a really fantastic town hall. A lot of great questions from the audience. I apologize, our venue was too small. We ended up with a standing room only crowd of 130, 140 people in a room designed for 50. I think we had 60 chairs. So my apologies. But as I said I would do, I'm going to have one next week on Tuesday out in Beulah. And we're going to have that at the middle school. So there'll be I promise you, there'll be plenty of room there for folks who want to come. And there's a lot of great things happening out in Beulah right now. Exciting stuff on OLF8. We're about to do about 84 acres out there and get that high value, high dollar property into the mix, onto the tax rolls, and get some money back in the bank. We're still out about 14 million for that project. We spent 18 million to get it. We sold 86 acres to Navy Federal for 4 million. So we're still out 14 we sold them 100 acres. We got 84 acres that that's the next piece of the puzzle that we're going to sell. And we believe that's going to bring in millions and millions of dollars. So that's going to be a great project. It's going to move in stages. We've got an excellent master plan. While I didn't like the process, I have to give kudos and I have to give credit where it's due. And DPZ, their final product, it was a compromise, and it's a very, very good product. And if you look at it and you go online, you can find it. You'll see that what they're going to build out there is going to be very, very nice. It's going to be a great amenity for the community, and it's going to include some areas for us to add high-tech, high-dollar jobs. And so when we're talking about high-tech and high-dollar jobs, it's a perfect opportunity for me to segue over to our special guest this morning, Todd Thompson. Todd, good morning. Todd's the President, CEO of the Greater Pensacola Chamber of Commerce. So we appreciate him being here. And I've got a list of questions for you, Todd. First, introduce yourself and say good morning to the folks.
Yes, thank you. As Chairman said, Todd Thompson, President and CEO of the Greater Pensacola Chamber of Commerce. Really appreciate the opportunity to be on today and to talk to you and share some of the things that we're doing at the Chamber and in support of the business community.
Well, we'll start out. A couple of weeks back, you wrote an op-ed in the Pensacola News Journal, and I read it. It was very well written and really a topic of interest right now. With employers, you deal with these companies every day as part of what you do over there, but you put your finger on the jugular. I mean, people aren't rolling off the couch to come to work. So, you talked about a lot of different things. Tell me about what the Chamber is going to do to help with that situation.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you leading off with that. It is the topic that is on everyone's mind. As I said in that op-ed, I literally hear it every day from business owners, from managers of businesses that they cannot find talent. And it's not just in the tourism and hospitality areas. We saw, and it's still a big issue there, but we saw that early on. But, I run into attorneys, I run into engineers, I run into all sorts of professionals out, Navy Fed's still has the challenge of meeting their needs. So it is an issue that covers the entire spectrum of our business community. And it's something that we are working on and going to be tackling here this year. So one of the things that we're going to do, and this is more informational, but I think it's important for people to understand where we are and what's happening in our community with the workforce problem. So on Friday, March 4th, we have our State of the Economy luncheon. It's from 11 to 1 at Pensacola Yacht Club. We actually have 4 experts. We have a panel that we'll be hearing from. Andrew Martin with Atlas Financial Services is our sponsor. He's going to give us an overview of what's happening in the markets and the overall economy. Darren Schaefer from Visit Pensacola is going to give us an overview of what he's seeing in tourism and the economy there, what their needs for job placement and those issues. And then we're going to hear from Marcus McBride. He's the president and CEO of CareerSource Escarosa, giving his perspectives on the types of candidates they're getting for jobs and the types of jobs that they have available. And then Jim Howe from Landrum HR will give us the private sector view of what they're seeing as well. Some tips for employers that are looking for talent. And, maybe there's some disconnects that from the employer side that, they're not doing the right things they need to be doing to find folks. But trying to get that general overview. So again, that's in a couple of weeks, March 4th at the Yacht Club. You can go on our website, PensacolaChamber.com, to get a ticket and we'll get a seat, and we'll be happy to host you. But another thing that we're going to be doing, and we've had a few meetings on this, again, working with our partners, with CareerSource, and inviting all the chambers in the area to be a part of this. On June 1st, we're going to have a workforce development conference. And we're still working out exactly what this is going to look like. But it's, again, bringing all of the stakeholders and the players in this space together. And, whether we do a job fair as a part of it or exactly what it looks like, not sure yet. We're working on those details. But again, it's just making those connections. And that's an important thing to me that the chamber can do, is be that key connector in the county. We can bring together the business community, we can bring together government, we can bring nonprofits, all the people who need to be involved and at the table for these conversations. We can bring them together kind of as a neutral host and, work on these issues. So like I said, we're still planning this. Wednesday, June 1st is the planned date for that. But also, we're talking to our higher education. We're talking to UWF, we're talking to Pensacola State, and we're talking to Pensacola Christian College about, their students that are going to be leaving soon, graduating soon. We don't want them to leave. We want them to stay. So, what strategies we can develop between the business community, the chamber, other organizations to, kind of how can we get a hold of that talent before they're looking at Atlanta or Birmingham or New Orleans or wherever else they might be looking. And, we've got, we know we've come a long way with quality of life issues. We're growing like crazy. And, we want to make sure that the talent that's at our colleges and universities understands that you can make good money here and have a great quality of life and, have the beach and all the amenities that we have here, downtown, the Wahoos, everything that we've got going on. So, coming out of COVID now, where I think, we're at a place where folks are comfortable meeting and getting together. We'll have some opportunities and like I said, really connect the business community and businesses, and also include the school district as well, because, getting into the schools, I think, is important. Be able to let students know, even in the middle school age, hey, there are careers out there. And to Wes's point earlier about the positions that he has opening, there are careers here where, you can train for them starting in middle school, get out of high school with a certificate, get into a career immediately and start making good money. Absolutely. And, there should not be a stigma that you have to go to higher education just to get it, something that says you did it, when you can go ahead and by the time you're 20 years old, be solidly into a career that's going to pay you good money. And, you'll be able to do it for, 20, 30 years. And, like you said earlier, be able to retire and still have a life.
Absolutely.
still be able to do a lot of things that you want to do. So it's really addressing all of those, entities and bringing all that together and trying to kind of reset and refocus and move forward.
Well, that's a whole lot that you put out there. I want to unpack it piece by piece. And for the average person out there, I spoke with Jeff Dyer yesterday, who works with Florida West. And I said, Jeff, he always brings us these great information sheets when we have our monthly PEDC meetings. And I said, look, what is our unemployment rate? 3.7%. Okay, how many people are working right now in the Pensacola, Florida, Escambia County area? 147,000, he reports. And he says that's an all-time high. And the number of people who are actively looking for jobs is right around 5,500. So you've got an all-time high number of people working in Escambia County, Florida. You've got a very low unemployment rate of 3.7%. You've only got 5,500 people looking. But that still leaves, about 170,000 people. Of course, you have retirees, you have young people, but the labor participation rate, and I just got it this morning, he texted it to me, is around 61%. So what do you say to people who say, look, we get it when it's a company like Circulogene just moved into town and they have openings, but they're highly, they require a tremendous set of skills, academic credentials and things of this nature. So you understand why those jobs don't necessarily get filled. But when we've got a lot of hospitality, tourism related jobs, things such as LPNs and nurses, we've got a lot of jobs out there that are not being filled. It doesn't add up. What do you say to people when they say, well, you've got all these jobs and you've got people that are waiting to work. Why can't you match them together? Where's the defect? Where's the fault?
Yeah. And it's a great question. And I wish I had a concrete answer for you. It's something that I've tried to research and understand as well. The good thing is this is happening all over the country. This is not a problem that's unique just to our area. So the Great Resignation, as it's been dubbed, is something that is happening all over the country, all over the state. Florida has done very well throughout the pandemic. Our economy has rebounded very quickly, thanks to leadership on the state level, thanks to leadership here on the local level that kept us open and made sure that our economy kept going. But, there seems to be a number of factors. Some folks, whether, there were women that left the workplace to deal with with their children when they had to work virtually, and they've decided that they don't want to work any longer, or they have, they started their own kind of side business. You hear a lot of stories of people starting their own business now. A lot of entrepreneurial activity that's started, which is good.
That's a great thing. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And there's lots of great work in that space here in Pensacola with the Spring. We've got SBDC that provides a lot of services for folks that are starting businesses. Kukua Institute with Lloyd Richard. They do a lot of great work in the minority community. So lots of great things happening in that space in our community. And so that's one thing that I think we're seeing. I think we did see, some people who were at the end of their careers who maybe in a normal situation would have kept working a few more years, decided, I'm not going to do this virtual thing. So, that's not what I do. And, just decided, they're going to hang it up a little early. But I think a lot of people are just reassessing what they want to do with their lives. And maybe that's just a typical 9-to-5 job wasn't what they want to do. So it is a complicated question. No easy answer. I wish there was, and we could just say, okay, now we know we need to do this, this, and this. But it's not. This is a long-term issue, and it's something that we're going to have to work on for a while. But again, like I said earlier, bringing those key stakeholders to the table, working together, making sure that we're communicating well and understand the things that we can do together to try to solve this.
Let me ask you something about the school district. Obviously I was on the school board for 10 years. And one of the things that we did when I was a school board member from 06 to 16 was we dramatically increased the number of career academies, which we had Dr. Michelle Taylor. I believe she's moved on, and Mr. Harrell is running that program now. But, at the time it represented something because like you said earlier, I agree with you. And I always said it, not every student needs to go to college. Frankly, many of them shouldn't go. They really, and because some of them really, that's not really the trajectory for them. And, there's no polite way to put it, but some of them aren't really, frankly, equipped for it. And when they go, when people say, go, 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 they accumulate debt, they quit. And then a lot of that debt's never going to get paid. So, I kind of like the European model in many countries over there. They got a third that are the very, very super high achiever, very intelligent. They're going to be your doctors, your lawyers, your engineers. And then they've got the other third that are going to do other sort of functions, management. And then they've got the other third that are going to do, frankly, the labor jobs that have to be done: electrician, plumber, framer. Here in America, though, for many years, there was this push. Everyone can do it. Everyone can do it. You go get them, Tiger. And, you got people getting 16s, 17s on the ACT, barely passing high school. Then they get to PSC or UWF and they're taking remedial English. They can't do arithmetic. And meanwhile, the tab is running on, the loan debt. And anyway, so the Career Academy for me at that point as a school board member, it made sense. So you put these kids in these academies and we expanded. I think it was 63 or 64 by the time I left. But now being removed from the district, I want to know is the chamber, who is looking after what happens to these students after they graduate? Because the question I have is, we've invested a lot of money and time in these academies at the Escambia County School District. And when the students graduate from the Gulf Power Academy, the Cox Communications Academy, or the West Florida High School EMT Academy, or any of these academies, are they coming out and are they getting jobs in their field? Or are they getting jobs in their field that they couldn't have got had they not gone through the curriculum? Because my son went through the Gulf Power Academy and, to be very honest, at the very end, it was like worksheets and it just didn't seem that rigorous to me. So are you looking at that, Todd? And are we getting any kind of metrics from these programs coming out of the school district?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we're actually meeting with the district and some other folks next week to really start this conversation again, because I need to have a better understanding of what exactly is happening with the career academies. Like I mentioned earlier, I have business people ask me, they're like, can we do something to connect with the career academies? I would love to come in and talk to, a group of middle school students about what it means, the opportunities to be a plumber or an electrician or work for Gulf Power or Florida Power and Light.
Right.
And so that's, again, I mentioned this earlier, I really want to make those connections. And, now that I think we're clear of COVID and there's a lot greater comfort level of where we are being able to get together, I would like to see, I want to bring those business people and connect them to the school district. And, again, it's that communication, is the school district meeting the needs of the business community? And is the business community effectively communicating those needs to the school district? So that's something that's
I'm going to interject right there. There is a disconnect right now. We have the county, the state, the city, the federal government. We've combined a lot of money together to bring the world's largest maintenance overhaul and facility, ST Aerospace, to Pensacola. They're building massive hangars. You see the steel going up right now at the airport. But we've got Triumph money. They're trying to give it to the school district to do a training program. The previous superintendent, for reasons I'll never understand, said no. He was worried about a clawback, whatever. There is a disconnect right now. We need qualified airframe technicians. We need people to be trained coming out of high school. The military, obviously there's folks that are transitioning out of the military. They're going to fill some of those jobs, but we need that training pipeline. And is the chamber doing anything to help with that? with that, because I think there's money there available to train students. I think ST themselves are gonna start a program. They're doing something with UPS, but I think the school district has a role to play here. Have you heard any kind of conversations about them going for that Triumph? Every other county in the Panhandle went to Triumph and got grants for their school districts for workforce education, but for whatever reason, the county didn't.
Yeah, and that has been a bit of frustration that I've heard, from the business community, and it's something that, I've passed that message along that we need to, get this grant. Yeah, I understand there's the fear of the clawback, but I really, at the end of the day, I don't think that's going to be an issue. We can go ahead and get this grant and get these kids trained. And like you said, folks coming out of the military or, who are looking for, career. I mean, if it's going through George Stone. So, it is frustrating. We are encouraging the district to move forward and, let's get this program going because we need to fill those jobs. I mean, they're building another hangar right now. And they can't fill the jobs that they have for hangar one. So, where are we going to be in a couple of years if we can't even fill these first few, 400 jobs?
Well, and that's exactly right. And that intertwines with something that you said before, because sitting through 10 years of graduations and watching these students, and we have amazing students. I mean, just incredible kids coming out of these schools locally. And, I'm a big proponent of the public school system, but like you mentioned, a lot of those kids are going to leave. They're going to graduate, and for various reasons, they're going to leave town, and that's fine. Many of them go away to school. That's a good thing. But my whole thing was, I always wanted to when I became a county commissioner, I want to work toward helping to make the economy here a place where if those students want to come back and build a career here in their hometown, Pensacola, Florida, Escambia County, they can do it. And I think we're getting to that point. I mean, we've got a really more of a diverse workplace. I mean, a lot of different employers, just a wide variety. And I know that Florida West and Scott, we're working on really pumping up the manufacturing, trying to get more manufacturing jobs in here. But if we're able to do that, I think that would mean success. If we're able to make the environment to where a student wants to stay here. And I think, frankly, we're there. I mean, we've got jobs we've all seen. We've got 400 jobs just in the county alone. And those are jobs that if you work for 25, 30 years, like Wes said, that's a career. You can retire.
Right.
I think one of the biggest issues, though, Todd, and I want to transition into this inflationary economy. A lot of these things I believe, are beyond our control, right? Locally, at the local level, we have to balance our budget. The state has to balance their budget. Federal government, both parties just keep printing money. They keep printing money, and they wonder why gas is $1.40 a gallon more. And they wonder why, you go to McDonald's now and a quarter pounder meal, not even supersized, the regular size is 10. And it used to be 6. And you're like, wait, what's going on? And people are complaining, it's like they're looking at the power bill, but how about filling your truck when it used to be $35 to fill it? Now it's $55. That's $20 a week. Just going.
Right.
And so in this inflationary economy where we've got massive wage push inflation, it's coming to us. Well, we need more. I mean, look at Wes. He's bargaining with these groups. Now we want more. We closed the bargaining and now they're coming back. We need more. Yeah. What's the solution to that, Todd? I mean, when we can't control what they're doing with monetary policy and we're dealing with this inflation and they're blaming it on the supply chain, which it ain't, it's $5-6 trillion that they've just thrown into monopoly money into the mix. What do we do locally to combat that?
I don't know even what we do.
Good answer.
I mean, like you said, that is a national DC issue where, like you said, they threw money at this for 2 years now. And, some people want to throw more money. It's just mind boggling that, you hear of more spending proposals that, they just passed a large infrastructure package that, you haven't even started work with any of that yet. So, it's frustrating, and it is, they released fuel from petroleum reserves. Prices went down briefly, but now they've spiked back up again. So, what did they really accomplish with that? So, it is very frustrating. It is out of our control, and, I wish there was something we can do, but that is a DC problem, and they are not helping us at all.
No, and they won't own it either. But I always take the opportunity when I have the opportunity to call it for what it is, because what they want you to believe is that it's because a shipping container from China now costs a little bit more. It's the supply chain. No, it's not. It's $5 or $6 trillion that you created and dumped into it, and you keep pumping up this, and now they're going to raise interest rates, Todd. So I think we're in for a double. They need to, but they needed to do it several years ago, and they didn't for political reasons. They wanted to keep the party going. Sooner or later, the whole thing's going to collapse. But that brings me to my next question. So one of the things that we have, one of the tools we have in our toolkit as county commissioners is e-dates, economic development, tax abatements that we do for 10 years, 12 years. We do them for Navy Federal. We've done them for different various developments downtown. We're going to be having those discussions, and I tend to support them. I believe at least there's some support on the board for those. I think it has to be approved by the electorate, and the current ballot initiative is going to expire in December. So from the chamber's perspective, obviously, I'm gonna guess that you support them, but what's your thoughts on e-dates?
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, it is a tool in the toolkit that is helpful when you're trying to attract a new business to the area or expand something that's already here. I look at these on a case-by-case basis and to see if it makes sense. So, but if you were to lose that ability, I think it is something that would hurt those efforts. So we haven't discussed it at the board level at the chamber yet, but certainly something that we'll take a look at and provide our input as well. But just personally, I would say to your point, it is a tool. It is something that you make an investment, but that investment comes back, down the road. So, I think it's something that's helpful.
Yeah, and I certainly hope that we're able to get that on the ballot, and that the folks realize the value in it. I mean, Navy Federal Credit Union is a great example. I mean, they're ramping up to 10,000 jobs. I mean, they've built $1.2 billion into the ground, into infrastructure in the county, and the number of jobs that's provided, and then their payroll of $500 million a year. I mean, that's a home run. It's a grand slam, and a lot of folks, I think a lot of folks don't really necessarily understand what it is. They think it's some kind of corporate welfare giveaway, and to a degree, I guess you could say that it is, but it doesn't come without strings. And so you've got to produce the jobs, you've got to produce the payroll. And the other thing I would say, putting my former school board member hat on, you give an e-date, you cannot give an e-date that abates their duty to pay school board tax. So if we bring in a big employer like Navy Federal, the school board's going to get 100% of their, millage income, for lack of a better term. So I think it's a positive thing. And I think, frankly, in this environment, if you want to attract these big companies, these really, that you hear about going here or going there, they're looking, okay, what's the local economy going to do for us? I mean, it's almost become that way. So, but we get back to the thing that concerns me. If we can't fill the jobs that we have right now, we don't want to outrun our coverage with the punt. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to have so many jobs out there and have things revving. And then we've got people coming to you saying, Mr. Chamber CEO, we can't get anyone to come work. And we've got this great job, great money, great benefits. So, what's your prediction? I mean, you have your finger on the pulse with businesses in this area. What's your prediction? Are we able to overcome this challenge?
Well, it's interesting because right before the pandemic, in the months leading up to February of 2020, we were having the same conversation. I don't know if a lot of people remember that, but I remember going to our breakfast meetings and, running into HR professionals and managers, and they were saying, I can't find the talent. And I believe our unemployment rate was right around, it may have been a little bit lower than where we are now, but it's a very good number. And we were having this talent conversation. Then COVID hit, and we didn't know what was going to happen. When COVID first hit, some of the economic estimates were that we weren't going to come back until Q1 of 2024. And here we are in Q1 of 2022. We're back, and we are back to normal in terms of our economy. But so we're back to the same issue of we need the talent again. So like I said earlier, we are this is our big focus. I mean, 2022 is going to be about how do we address this problem, again, bringing all the players to the table, and looking at all those strategies from the folks who, are chronically unemployed and need help to those students that are either graduating high school or college that, we want to stay in our community and get those jobs that are available. To folks who are leaving the military. With the chamber, we have the West Florida Defense Alliance, and that's one of the issues that we look at is those transitioning military folks who may have been all over the country and they love Pensacola and they want to stay here, but what are they going to do? So really looking at all of those, different issues, those strategies. And, again, anyone who wants to be a part of those conversations, please reach out to me. This is not just chamber members. We want the entire community to have a seat at the table. And, we want to solve this problem and help our economy keep growing.
Well, it's amazing how quickly these conversations go by. And first, again, I want to reiterate my thanks to you, Todd, for what you do with the chamber and taking your time out this morning to come on the coffee. But two topics that are kind of interesting to me. And I think going forward, as we're talking about what might happen in the future going forward, one of them is, this concept of universal basic income. It's a more federal kind of thing. And then automation in the workforce. I talked about McDonald's. That's a true story. I try not to eat fast food because it's horrible, right? But, when you're busy there's a McDonald's you go through, right? So I went to the McDonald's. I did. It was honest to God, quarter pounder with cheese, regular size meal, $10, and I'm sitting there going, maybe I'm out of it. Maybe that's the norm. But another McDonald's story, true story. I was on a road trip recently coming through Louisiana of all places and getting off the I-10. I stopped and it was a McDonald's. And when you go in there though, there's no one at the front counter. No one. They have these kiosks. And again, I'm not a fast food guy. I don't go out that often. I cook at home. I'm one of those old school kind of people. And so I walk up to the counter and there's no one taking orders. There's a couple people back there, cooking, doing what they're doing. But everything's automated now. And I'm wondering, is that the future? Is automation the future of a lot of these menial, low skilled jobs that no one wants to do, and where employers are facing this wage push inflation? I mean, at some point, when you're having to pay 15, 16, 18 bucks an hour for a guy to work at a fast food restaurant, you're going to have the $10 value meal, right? But at some point, even that's not going to be sustainable. So from what you've heard in your experience with businesses, first question, do you think automation is coming? And do you think that this sort of an environment of inflation and a lack of workers is going to accelerate that? Are we going to have robots, for lack of a better word, working in these menial jobs? And if so, how many years away?
Yeah, I mean, if you're running a fast food restaurant or you're running a warehouse that you can use automation and you can't find the people to do it, you're running a business. You got to keep things going. So you're going to do what you have to do to keep your business afloat. And, I think that's where we are with, those types of industries. It seems to be happening quickly. I don't know if I can give you a specific number on how long, how quickly it'll take. But, if you're looking at a prolonged situation where, people don't want to take, like you said, I think it's $13 an hour. You go by the McDonald's on Cervantes and 9th, I think $13 an hour is what they're advertising. That's, a few years ago, you would have said that's crazy that, right. That's where you'd be able to make a McDonald's. And I hear the stories all the time that, people say, well, I hired, someone, I had them for a month and I trained them and then they found, $2 more an hour somewhere else. And then they left me. And so, it is, if it's that fluid and that difficult, if there are industries that, can take advantage of automation, I think they're going to do it just for the stability, and it's hard to blame them if you can't find it. It's not like there's 100 people lined up out your door trying to get a job. You've got 100 jobs that you need to fill. So it is a challenge and it is a frustration, I know, in those industries.
Well, I mean, you see in things like truck drivers, they say we're 100,000 truck drivers short in the next 5 years. But on the other hand, you see these companies that are innovative and they have trucks that are electric, they're self-charging, self-driving. I mean, they drive all night long and they're safe. I mean, you just wonder, is that the first step? And then, does that trickle out to other industries finding ways to automate? and really just kind of saying, forget it. We don't want people anymore. We're going to have everything automated. You look at these Amazon warehouses and the amazing stuff that they're doing right now. It's going to be interesting. But I did have a question from online. They said, is the federal government giving money out so people won't have to come to work? And obviously, I think we've kind of touched on that, Todd. I mean, I think when you give people unemployment for extended periods of time, and now they give child tax money, tax credit in your account every couple of months, it's almost like you're disincentivizing work. Have you seen that or heard that from your employers that you talk with?
Well, that was, really the perspective, while the unemployment, you had the extra unemployment money that was coming from the federal government.
Right.
The state cut back on that, but, we thought, I think it was September of last year when that program ended. And so there was an expectation that, come leading up to September and then going into the fall, you were going to see a lot of people filling these jobs. And it hasn't happened to the degree that we all expected. So, I don't think it's a good thing to give people money for doing nothing. When they're able-bodied and can get a job. So it's like I said earlier, it is a very strange situation, one that does not have an easy answer. But having those programs in place, in my opinion, disincentivize people coming to work, and I don't think that's going to be helpful as we try to solve this.
Couple final things. Obviously, we hear a lot about the housing affordability.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost the term that we're hearing now is crisis. We hear from people to come send us correspondence or citizens whose rent gets increased, and the county does have a rent assistance program for folks going through the COVID pandemic. Unfortunately, a lot of that money is still available. It's incredibly difficult because we got to balance it between, do you really need it, or is this some kind of fraudulent thing? So it does require quite a bit of documentation. We're doing those things, but as it pertains to the Chamber of Commerce and what you do, Todd, is the cost of the housing, is that hurting companies' abilities to attract talent to Pensacola, Escambia County? It used to be we were a low cost of living place.
Right.
It changed in the last 5 years. It's really dramatically changed. How is that affecting your companies that you represent in their quest to attract talent?
Right. So what we've found through the pandemic and up to this point is that a lot of people who are moving into the area are they're work from home people. So they are, they have higher end jobs. So they've been able to buy, that the cost is not as much of a prohibitive factor as it is for someone who is, either early in their career or, they're maybe in a blue collar job that doesn't pay as much. So, and again, this is also a challenge across the country. So it's not unique to our community.
Right.
But, I typically hear it from the younger professionals who are, working their way up. They want to buy a house. Maybe they're newly married, with or without a family yet. But, there's really no point of entry for those folks right now because it's just, cost prohibitive. They haven't built up the equity to get a good down payment to, try to bring that, monthly payment down. So, it's something we hear about a lot, again, from a military perspective as well. And we talked about this in the Military Affairs Committee meeting you were at yesterday. It's a big issue for the military because, I guess especially the newer recruits, they don't make a lot of money. And so housing is a big issue. So it's across the board, for a lot of our community. And again, it's not an easy solution. It's market driven. And so, it's great that you do have the programs at the county level that you're able to get some folks into. But, there are supply chain issues with construction. It's hindered some new construction. So, again, not an easy answer to a big issue. But I'm not one to use crisis a lot. I don't like throwing that word around a lot, but I think we're pretty much there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you're right about the supply chain. I saw the article where they finished the house, but they can't get the garage doors because they're
right. Yeah.
and that is, but I would say one bright shining spot in this economy that really has transcended everything else has been the housing, the manufacturing and the construction trades. I mean, they're putting subdivisions up, they're building houses. I mean, and that's been a great segment of the economy, and I'm sure they've done very well. Of course, their pricing. Someone told me yesterday that a 2x, I'm not a Home Depot guy. I'm not, but I heard like a 2x4 a couple of years ago was like $3, and now they're like 18 just for one 2x4. So I cannot imagine, although they're building a lot of houses, I'm sure their margins are shrinking. In $18 for a 2x4. But the final thing I'll get to, and it's kind of a esoteric topic, but when you look at, because everything the federal government does, it all rolls down the hill, rolls down to Tallahassee. They put their imprimatur on it, change things around, and then it rolls down to us. And we get a lot of power taken away from us. A lot of our, ability locally to manage things and to make ordinances for certain things. That power has been conscripted by Tallahassee. So when we look at these federal programs like printing all the money, now they're going to raise the interest rates, which they need to do, but that's going to create a problem because then it's going to prevent more buyers. It's going to create more buyers who cannot qualify because the more they raise the interest rates, the higher the payment. So all these federal programs that happen that affect us, we know they do. There are some that believe that eventually we're going toward a system of universal basic income where federal government, because if you look at the number of people who are not working now and the number of them who collect a government check of some variety, it's growing and growing and growing, and it's becoming geometric. So do you think that we will ever get to that point where people don't work and they just collect a check, not unlike, some socialist countries like a universal basic income? I mean, I certainly hope that never happens, but have you ever had any thought? Because there are people that believe it should happen. I mean, intelligent people think it should happen.
Oh, yeah.
It will happen. I think it would be a disaster. What's your thought on it?
No, I think it's to your point of, just printing more money and, it's not worth anything because you're just throwing it out there. And, it does a few things. One, again, to your point, I think it creates more inflation. Two, you're disincentivizing people to work when, again, we have tons of jobs out there. And, if you're just going to say, well, I feel guilty, I think a lot of your, mega wealthy folks, not a lot, but there are some that are proposing this, and maybe they feel guilty that they've got a lot of money and other people don't. And so, hey, let's have the government. I mean, it's a great idea if somebody else pays for it, right?
Right.
Let's have the government, provide this universal basic income, and it sounds great. It's like we want to help people, but are you really helping? The best thing you can do if you're going to try to help yourself, help your family, is to get a good job and do it well, and you can progress and move up in your career. And that's really the path to success. I mean, it's kind of old school, but I just, again, anything artificial like that, I think is going to be problematic to our overall economy.
Well, and you mentioned something, and we'll just kind of put a ribbon on it. And again, I appreciate Wes and Eric and you being here this morning. We are fortunate. We live in a great country. We can have dissenting opinions. We can have discourse without, violence like you see in other countries, people killing each other. But, I would just simply say this, in this country, and I'm sure you would agree, Todd, we have immigrants that come here. Some of them come from the Far East, the Vietnamese, Hmong people. They come here, they don't speak the language, and within one generation, they own a business. Their kids are in the top school. It's fertile ground if you work hard. And that applies to people that are born here too. Just go to work, don't do drugs, don't get involved in criminal justice system, and just plow forward and commit to something, and you can make it in this country. I mean, if people that don't even speak the language can come here and within one generation they've found the American dream, then I don't think there's any excuses for anyone. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Isn't this the greatest country?
Oh, absolutely. And, I think, a lot of the political back and forth. If you get offline and get off the stuff that, gets thrown around on Twitter and social media, get out there and really get around people. And, these folks, there are a lot of people who come to this country because they want to work and they see what you can do and what you can accomplish here that, they did not have from their country of origin. I mean, you are born in, a lot of places you're born into, a caste basically, and you're
Correct.
Stuck there for the rest of your life, no matter what you do. So, like you laid it out, like I said, I'm an old school guy. You work hard, you do the right things, you follow the law, just do the right things and you can make it and be very successful. And that's what America's all about. I mean, it's the American dream. So, that's what I support. And, hopefully we can keep that going here. I think that's our attitude for the most part here in Escambia County. Despite, outside influences, whether the federal government or other entities that may try to change things. We're blessed to be in this community. I'm so proud to be able to lead the chamber and want to help the business community and our economy any way that we can.
Fantastic. Well, again, guys, that's perfect. That's 1 hour to the dot. Appreciate your time, Wes Marino. I know you're busy. Thank you for being here for the entire hour. Eric Gilmore, thank you for everything you guys are doing. Keep up the great work. And then Todd, thanks for being here. Thanks for your great work at the chamber, helping these businesses. And, we'll see what happens in the next year. Hopefully it's a good year coming up, but
absolutely.
For all of you guys, thanks for being here. And for all of you that watched online, thanks for being here. And we'll see you next month with the Coffee with the Commissioner. Y'all have a great one.